Bienvenidos a este nuevo vídeo de Devir TV. Estamos en el stand de Hansing Gluck para hablar de un juegaken llamado Planet B y tenemos a su autor con nosotros, a Johannes. How are you, Johannes?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to have you here. I really like your hat. Where is mine? Because we are not connected right now.
You like to live dangerously here on the fair. You always have to be protected with the hat.
You know, maybe I will have some invasion of my brain or something. It will be your fault.
It will. So I'm always protected here. So my idea is stay in my hat.
Okay, cool. A lot of new games around.
I don't know yet. We will see. We will see in the future.
Cool, Johannes. Congratulations for Planet B. I don't know. Is your first game published?
Yeah, it is. Well, of course, I've worked on a lot of games in my past as an editor, but this one is my first own design. So yeah, it's basically my first published game, but also, of course, I've been here a couple of times.
Yeah, because you work as a publisher in Hansing Gluck.
So here is Planet B. I also worked as a designer and in the editorial, but for Paleo I only worked as an editor and not as a designer.
So it has to be pretty different to be editor than author. You had your other editors that played the other role to you?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. Of course, we always have a team, and every game we make here at Hansing Gluck is a team project, so it doesn't matter if it's my design or not. So it's never just my idea or just the idea of someone else. It's always teamwork. So it didn't change much, to be honest, but of course I was missing a designer I could talk back to. Of course, it also helped in some ideas because I didn't have to convince him with my ideas. It was all happening right here.
So working as an editor or as an author has to be different in Planet B. Maybe you've missed some people around you doing editor stuff, or you had them?
Yeah, of course I miss a little bit to have a different designer, to have some thoughts and ideas on, but we work as a team, so every time we had a decision or something to do about the game, I always had my colleagues and they helped me out, so it wasn't a big of a difference, to be honest.
But that has to be a great feeling to be at Spiel with your new game, because you have prepared Spiel for new games of others time ago, so yeah, this year is yours.
Yeah, of course it's a little bit different. I've also worked a lot on the other games that went through our hands, so it doesn't feel that much different. So this one feels like it's my child, but all the other ones were also my child. It's just not, I didn't make it, but I just adopted them, so that's okay.
Cool, I like the metaphor. Yeah, tell me, Johannes, how long have you been working on this game?
So Planet B was a long process. I think the first idea started when, more or less, after a couple of weeks after my first day, so around 6 years ago. Wow. And lots of things happened, and a lot of other releases came in between. So of course I wasn't working full time on it. Far from that. So a couple of years the game was also just laying around and nothing happened, or just like ideas growing under the tinfoil hat. But yeah, the first idea is 6 years ago, and then we started to work heavily on it like 1.5, 2 years ago. So that's when that's when we decided we want to make the game with Hansing Gluck, and it's just not a weird idea of mine. So that changed 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's very cool because we really love Hansing Gluck games, but I think I've never seen a game with all this science fiction, art, this kind of humoristic stuff inside, idiocracy and all the things. So it's a bit of a step further in a new direction, maybe.
Yeah, we also tried to do things a little bit different in the last couple of years, to have a little bit different style of artwork and a little bit different also style of mechanics, but we always try to stick true to our core belief, which is a game always has to offer interesting decisions. It's not so much about the theme. Of course, it was different the last couple of years, and now we have a different theme, and it's, yeah, just as you said, idiocracy and lots of things that are not that serious. But other than that, I hope it's still in its core Hansing Gluck game.
Cool. You said the game changed theme in a few ways. What was about before?
So at the beginning, the game was about us living on a basically banana republic and everyone being corrupt, and still it wasn't a serious game, so that never changed. But at a certain point, we felt like it's more fitting to sci-fi based theme, and we still kept a lot of weird things like the president and also like the llama, and all those things are basically relics out of the old theme. But for whatever reason, the people loved the llama, so we had to stick with that one, and we had to integrate a llama into a sci-fi game, which was, let's say, kind of hard to do, but we stick to the llama. And, you see a lot of Banana Republic things if you look closely into the game, but of course it's now a sci-fi game.
Yeah. You see a lot of Easter eggs. Though this teddy bear, it seems a killer.
To be honest, we put more or less on every single card at least one Easter egg. On a lot of cards, there are even more than one Easter egg. So the game is full of references, either movies, other games. Of course, we had to make a paleo reference. We also have the dodo in the game. So here we have a cyber truck and Back to the Future. So it's two references in one picture. So you can see weird stuff happening all over the place. Here are people demonstrating because they think there is no planet C, so all things repeat, all of the things we've done. We're doing currently probably repeated in the game as well. So hopefully you can find all of the references, but probably some of those are really hard to find.
Cool. We will make tweets about it, like, what do you think? Okay, Johannes, for the people that doesn't know what Planet B is about, can you do us a quick overview, please?
Yeah, sure. So the game is about, of course, how it could be any different. It's about collecting money. Because that's the only thing people care about in the future. That's the only thing people care about now. So why would it be any different? So the builds here in Planet B have two purposes. So they're either just money you can spend in a game, or you can literally put it in your own pocket.
Really?
And, like you just put it in your own pocket, and then you score victory points. So every billy, so that's how the currency here is called, that's in your own pocket is worth a victory point.
Like it.
And to collect all the money and all those victory points, you have to have a population that is working for you, because you don't want to get your own hands dirty. I don't know. That's not something a governor would do. So we're taking the role of a governor. So
we are governors of different countries in Planet B?
Correct. So each of us is having his own space or her own space on the planet, and we're taking care of our people, and we're also taking care of all of the buildings. But the core of the game is we have to make deals with the conglomerates here. So we have 3 different spaces where we always can put our suitcase, and once we do that, we just do all of the actions you can see there.
So it's a worker placement?
Yeah, but also a worker placement. I come to that in a second. So once I place a suitcase here, I do all of the actions, and you have just plenty of different things to do. So you can build different buildings. Of course, you have to pay cash for that, but you also do a little bit of money laundering. So all of the cash you've paid, a little bit is always going into your own pocket. So that's a reason.
Very corruptive.
Yeah, that's one reason why you would build something. And by building your buildings, you can also later then use your workers, and again another worker placement, put them here, and pick one of the actions.
So this is the authentic worker placement. This was a suitcase placement.
Exactly. So we have those 2 things: the official suitcase placement and the worker placement. And so you have to prepare a little bit what you're building and what you aim for, and have different things. Of course, we have different resources. We have like plastic because it's floating all around the globe. We have water, we have iridium, and of course we have meat. You have to have meat on the next planet, so we have to do the same mistakes all over again. So meat has to take part in that as well. And so I'm producing resources, I'm using them on my buildings, and I'm always trying to get as much money as possible. But it's not only about building your own engine and doing your own things, it's also about a voting system.
A voting system?
Yes.
Like
because
elections.
yeah, it's you have some elections in the game. You want to be the next president as well, but as you can probably imagine, it's not a very democratic way to do that. So there are lots of ways to influence those. Some of them are legal, most of them are not, and also the vote itself is not very, let's say, fair. But in the end, you want to have as many votes as possible by either bribing the people, or maybe you're actually a good guy and they like you, and then they actually vote for you. So you can be a nice guy. You don't necessarily have to be a bad guy. So you always have to keep in mind how much do you want to exploit your own people and how much do you want to be president. So it's a lot about building your own stuff, but still having the election system, so you really have to care about the other players as well. And yeah.
Because those two things give points and you can win one way or another, you mean?
No, it's always about getting the points. So even if you are the president, the points are the money, correct? So even if you're president, you get a lot of victory points because as a president, it's quite easy to take some cash and put it in your own pocket. But you, as a president, you're also allowed to make laws for everyone. So it's a very important role of the game, and it's a very important part of the game to win the elections. But you don't necessarily have to win the elections to win the game. It just helps you because all the laws influence all the players on the board, and by picking the right laws, of course, you can influence yourself a little bit better than the others. So, but in the end, it's just, as I said, about the cash. No one cares about anything else here.
Cool. So at the beginning of the game, someone is the president, or it's something that happens later?
It's something that happens later. It's also something that is decided by how the players are playing the game. So, as I said, you're placing a suitcase and do all the actions you can see here. And once a place is fully occupied, so in a 2 or 3 player game, it's the 3rd spot. There's a lot of stuff going on around here. Prices on the market change, new actions show up, so we influence how the game is played, and more importantly, the election track is advancing.
Okay, Johannes, I see a lot of things here going on. I saw a track there. What is it about?
So this track is about the different political factions in the game. So of course you have the capitalists, you have the scientists and the traditionalists, and depending on what you do in the game, you advance on this track, and at a certain point you can just cash out and get a little bit out of that. So depending on the things you do in the game, you can just advance. So for example, if you make a time travel, of course the scientists like that, so you advance on that track. But there are also a lot of other things you can do in the game, like making some healthy fast food. Again, the scientists do love some healthy fast food, but the people don't like it. It's a good card, so you also have like immoral cards in the game, so you could make lasagna out of llamas.
Lasagna out of llamas.
which is something a little bit more immoral, but you get meat out of it. So there's a lot of different weird things you can do and influence your people. You can make a big ship that's polluting the whole environment.
Oh. So. A kind of a futuristic Titanic or something like this?
Something like this, yeah. So lots of things that are going on, or you could build your own private zoo. Of course, the capitalists like a private zoo because you can get a lot of cash out of it. But again, not a very moral thing to do. So
the game is full of llamas, I see, huh?
Llamas, dodos, and other weird jokes, of course, yeah. How could it be any different?
I see that that even the game, it looks super fun and super interesting and unique. Production is super cool as well, because all these billies.
Yeah.
Long time I don't see games with real money. That's super cool.
It was a really weird thing to do because we as a publisher, I think the last time we did something like this was St. Petersburg. And also when playing the game and the prototype, we always had the St. Petersburg cards.
Okay.
And the sci-fi theme was there since a long time, but we had all the old Billies, so it was always like this old game. It still had St. Petersburg Billies, but for whatever reason, we really liked it having in the game, and it's really a fun thing to literally put the cash
pocket.
In your own pocket, and
That's fine.
It's quite helpful because you don't have to manage all this more stuff on the table. You just put it there.
And at the end of the game, you take
get all of it
the
out
pocket.
and then you count it. And a very funny story about that.
Okay.
One time I was playing it with my colleague, and then we went to the beach after that.
Oh.
And he had all of the cash in his pocket still, and he went out of his t-shirt, and then everywhere we had Billies.
Some people, whoa!
Cash on the floor, but yeah, it was.
No, we're
only,
just Billies. You have to go to another planet.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, Johannes. So, what kind of player do you think will enjoy Planet B the most?
Well, of course, it's not a game for kids, as you can probably see. Hopefully, all the people that love our games we did before, that are bigger, for example, like Marco Polo or Railroads, or I don't know, the good old ones like Stone Age, or I don't know, even St. Petersburg. So if you like those games, but you're not scared of a different theme, so you want to have something different and want to experience something that is not that serious, then this game is probably for you.
Cool. Johannes, thank you very much for your time, for creating this game. I know that people in the fair is having much fun with this, so I hope we can play it soon and be very bad presidents at Planet B.
Yes.
Good for us, bad for the people. I don't know.
Sounds about right. Cool.
Next time, I want your hat.
Yeah, you have to stay protected. Good to see you.
Yeah. La próxima.
Bye bye.